there, you may call me Miss Introvert, and here on this channel we write, we edit, we learn, and we grow. And I am learning and growing right along with you guys, so we're all in the same boat. I have my dog here with me today, Chesterton, and today we are going to be talking about ways that you can publish your poetry, basically where to go, how to find the resources, and to know which publication is right for you. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the content I create, which is all writing and poetry and publication and characters and plotting. We have it all here on this channel. By we, I mean me, which is not grammatically correct in the slightest. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and in the comments down below, tell me what I can be doing to improve, as I am still a baby YouTuber and I would love to know what I can do to make this channel better for you guys and better for my content in general. Also, comment down below your poetry writing methods and your poetry publication methods, what worked for you if you are a published poet, and, which I don't know why you're watching this video if you're already a pro at this, but if you are, great, awesome, we love to have you here. And also comment down below your poetry if you're feeling so brave. There's so many other people that have commented down below their poetry on past poetry videos, and I've loved reading them. Otherwise, you can send it to my mailing list and I will take a look at it with you, and if you'd like to be further critiqued, we can talk about it on one of my Fiverr gigs, and I'll be able to help you with publication options and editing and just running ideas with you, and we can talk about your poetry together. If you're new here and didn't see my last video, then go ahead and give it a watch. It's got some poetry tips that might be useful for you. Again, if you're a seasoned poet, welcome to the channel. I hope that we can get to know each other better. And now let's get started. Number one, we have student resources. I was a former English student and I published to both of my school's magazines. So if you're in the wheelhouse or whatever of student poets, then please keep your eye out for resources, because that will be so valuable for you. So you're a student and you are ready for publication. You feel like your poem is done, you feel like your peers think your poetry is done, they've told you that it's ready. This isn't just a thoughtful letter that you're giving to a friend or a relative, even though those are beautiful gifts, and I've given some of them myself and I've received some. This is something that you're thinking is publishable. And if you're at that stage, congratulations. When you get it published, send me the link, I want to read it. But here are a few things that you can be looking out for as you start researching your publishing options. Again, if you're a college student, you're gonna wanna start looking at your school's magazines, your poetry magazines, artwork magazines, whatever magazine your school has, they're probably gonna be accepting poetry. If you're a community college student who transferred to a university like me, then you're gonna wanna take advantage of both of your school's magazines. Depending on how big your school is, there could be a lot of submissions. And these magazines are going to have editors and readers that are going to look through every single poem that was submitted and pick out the ones that are going to be in a finished copy. Yes, this is daunting. If you go to a big school, this is very daunting. And if you go to a small school like I did, it's still daunting. Not only are you in competition with other poets and other writers, but you're also setting out your vulnerable writing to professional readers and editors who are going to look at your work and pick out which one is the one that's going to best fit in their magazine. But you don't have to be scared. You just have to try. And trying something new that you've never done before can be really scary. These magazines are meant for students to get their writing out there and to see what the process of publication actually looks like. So not only are you getting your name out there, but you're also getting publication experience, which is so valuable. If you really want to get a look at what the process looks like on the inside of publishing like a full magazine, you're going to want to keep your eye out for editor or reader applications that your magazine is sending out, so that you can actually get first-hand experience on what it's like to be on the other end of that process. That way you'll know exactly what to expect for future publications and what other people are going to be looking for when you submit your work eventually. My school's Tiger magazine had poetry, artwork, photography, short stories, and typography, and all these other things that kind of just ranged the content super wide. So your school might have different magazines for different topics, or it might have a wide array of them. So you're going to want to keep an eye out for which magazine is which, And if they have guidelines, just make sure to follow those guidelines. So take advantage of the publishing process, whether you're a part of the inside or the outside process. Now that was for the student portion. If you're an alumni of your school, there's some that still allow you to publish your work to the magazines, so definitely take advantage of that. But other magazines are open to the public, and this next segment is going to be for those of you who are not students. Although there are a lot of students on this channel because a lot of my content is tailored towards students, and I know what it's like to be a student. So on to number 2, do some research, student or not. So first off, you should be keeping your eye out for literary magazines that are open to the public, and make sure that you find the one that's right for your genre of poetry. Some magazines are looking for specific content that's tailored from certain demographics, certain themes, certain genres, certain locations. So you're going to want to make sure that you read the guidelines for each magazine that you're submitting to, and just find out which one your poetry would best fit in. You're going to want to find out the limit of poems to submit and when the deadline is, and how much they're going to pay you for the poems they submit if you're accepted. And then you should be good to go. A good way to search for these magazines is through keyword searches. Some magazines, like the American Poetry Review, have submission fees, and I believe the one for right now is about $3, so keep an eye out for that as well. A few other magazines that are a bit more broad in their acceptance of the different genre or demographic of poetry would be Poetry Foundation, which we all use to look up poems in literature classes, AGNI, and the Pears Review. Again, this is daunting, and the waiting period will be long, and there's a higher chance of rejection given the broader pool of submissions, but that does not mean you shouldn't try. A good reason to submit to more specific magazines of poetry, the ones that have the specific location, demographic, or a genre, is that there might be a smaller pool of submissions. But then again, there's also broader versions of that. So just make sure that you're searching for the right magazines and that you're doing your research and all of that good stuff. Next, look for literary competitions to submit to. Some of these, like the Pulitzer and the Academy of American Poets, the National Poetry Prize, will have huge cash prizes, and I'd suggest getting your name out there first before applying. But if you're feeling brave, by all means. Keep in mind as you're researching these contests, some of them will be scams, but there are a lot of them that are real too. So usually the ones that'll appear, unfortunately, as the first thing on your poetry contest search are probably going to be a scam. So if you're just broadly searching poetry contests, there will definitely be scams that are like, hey, submit here, and they might actually try to rip off your poetry. The ones that are real though, you'll have a specific range of cash prizes, of course. So some of these are Frontier Poetry, Palette Poetry, and the Autumn House Press Rising Writer Contest. Some of them have really long names. There are ones like these and others that are for up-and-coming poets that just want to get their name out there. And there are even poetry competitions that'll get you scholarships. So keep that in mind as you're trying to pay for school and trying to find a place to put your beautiful writing. Another thing you can do is publish your own blogs of poetry. Just last week I uploaded one of my poems to my blog, so it's definitely just a way to get your writing out there. It's not something that you necessarily have to be scared of in terms of the submission thing, but you're going to want to learn how to build up that audience before you start posting and make sure that you're promoting your blog. So that's basically what you're going to want to do for blogging. Number 3, why should you publish your poetry? I had these exact same questions. Is it for the money? And we've seen that there's pretty good money involved, especially with the cash prizes. Who's going to read it? Me. Plus, poetry has honestly had a huge resurgence recently, and there are plenty of English students and literature fanatics that would love to read your writing. We just like explicating things, and I will make an explication video. I will. Plus, you get your name out there into the publishing world, and even though you're starting small, you're building your way up with these steps. So it's not all for nothing. It's just a stepping stone. If you continue to take those steps, then you're going to go really far. Not only do you open doors for yourself, but you're also opening up doors for others, like inspired poets who were inspired by you. I know that I was inspired by poets to actually write my own poetry and send it out to the world, because I just loved the writing style and I loved how brave they wrote. And it was always the people that started small that inspired me to grow in my own poetry writing. That and the romantic, dramatic poets from long ago, like Edgar Allan Poe and Emily Dickinson, and so many others that really inspired me, and also just wrote whatever they wanted and got famous for it. First and foremost, though, you are a creator, and creators are meant to share their work. Otherwise, why would you be writing it? Sure, there are journal entries and diary entries and poems that you write for yourself just to get your thoughts out of your head and for your own self-discovery, but there are other moments that need to be shared, so give yourself that choice and that chance. And don't miss that deadline. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, comment down below your poetry publishing or writing methods, and submit your own poetry to this thread. Not submit, that's a really scary word. We'll just say comment down below your poetry. Unless you want to pretend like this is a practice for submitting, then sure. I won't reject it though, I'll just read it and be like, you guys are so brave. Like, what? Some of you are like, this is my first poem, and I'm like, okay, please go publish it now. Again, if you want your poetry read, you can subscribe to my email list, comment it down below. But if you want like really specific comments by me, then there's a link to my website and you can just put your email in there, your name, and I will make sure to respond to your little poem or your poetry collection or your long poem, what have you, your epic poetry. And then there's also a few Fiverr gigs, like I mentioned, that I have that I'll be able to just critique your poetry, tell you whatever you need to know about it. At least I'll offer what advice I can. Thank you for watching and stay basic. Okay, bye!